hallmarks of those ones, the rumor is it in the back of their head is a transmitter.
Hi and welcome to Magic Circle. I hope you guys are all doing well. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how Tom DeLonge and Jacques Vallée agree on this certain notion that the alien or the extraterrestrial are, in a sense, powered by an artificial intelligence. So I don't know if you guys have seen the Moment of Contact press conference that came out a few weeks ago. Jacques Valee made an appearance on that and made a really great, in a sense, a speech or his insights on the UFO phenomenon. One of the key takeaways for me was how he mentioned that these aliens are, in a sense, real and physical, and that they breathe our air, but are also powered by an advanced artificial intelligence.
As the Virginia case proves, allowing more open contact at an international level would yield better understanding of the global issues. The current segmentation of the data hinders any serious research into what appears to be an extraterrestrial phenomenon empowered by advanced artificial intelligence.
This idea first came to me when I was listening to Tom DeLonge on the Coast to Coast radio show in 2016 and 17. There's some segments of this on YouTube, or you can find them. I think I found them on Reddit a few years ago. And Tom, I think he's on with Peter Lavender or AJ Hartley, who he wrote his fiction novels with. And he goes on to say how he believes that a lot of the Greys, especially, he did mention mostly that the Greys, that they tend to have a transmitter in the back of their head, and where or to who this is transmitting information to, they don't know, but they're the advanced intelligence. They're the ones who are, in a sense, programming this gray alien, or they're directing it or giving birth to this entity, if you want to call it that, or people. And he also, Tom mentioned this in his Joe Rogan interview, how some extraterrestrial life seem to have a device in the back of their head.
Yeah, I personally think the little aliens with the big black eyes, those are androids. They're biological robots. They're just programmed. They're no different than us cloning sheep. They just clone a being that can travel through space, because space
or
is very
some sort
big.
of an artificial intelligence thing that
It
doesn't
is
have
AI.
a life form, right? I've heard that idea before, and it kind of makes sense a little bit, right? I mean, if you're a living thing and you're traveling through space, obviously you have biological limitations in terms of the need for oxygen and gravitational interactions and all these different things.
Well,
that would
one of the
fuck
scary
with us.
hallmarks of those ones, the rumor is it in the back of their head is a transmitter. So you got to wonder where it's sending shit. But at the same time, I can tell you that when you look at the Bible, the angels and the demons of the Bible would be the humans and the androids that I just told you about.
So you think the Greys are the androids, right?
Yeah.
And so you think they're like some sort of devil?
No, I just think that that's how we characterized it, because they come in, control
Right.
your thoughts, control your body, take you.
us in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
demons,
And so this is quite an interesting idea to think about, in a sense. If most of the alien abductions and UFO crashes involving some sort of gray alien being or some other entity, if they're really not, if their intelligence source isn't their own, somehow they are being sent um, on a mission to complete or to do something specific. Um, it does change it how you think about the UFO phenomenon. I mean, I haven't heard accounts of this happening with, for example, the Nordics or um, the reptilians, things like that. You don't tend to hear that they are they are powered by AI in that sense. But you do get this insight from people who have um, been in contact with the Greys and being similar to that. You could even highlight the beings in the Virginia case that James Fox um, made a documentary about, Moment of Contact. Could they have been powered by AI? And it's quite interesting how you can sort of picture how these UFOs could be one of one UFOs, meaning they're created for one specific purpose, and that's it. They either the vehicle itself is recycled or destroyed itself, and how the beings as well could be just, in a sense, coming out of some sort of 3D printing factory just for one purpose alone, whether it be for reconnaissance, for retrieving biologics, for anything, for mining, for gathering materials. Um, and they're not, in a sense, just traveling here just to see how we're doing. I think that's how sometimes I tend to think about it, how an alien race is somehow traveling interdimensionally, found our world, and are just visiting, just curious about us. If in this case they, especially the Greys and similar type beings, they're here to perform some specific function, just how you a human being would program a language model for a specific um, purpose and a specific focus. um, you immediately start thinking, who is behind this curtain? Who is behind pulling the levers? Is it the Nordics? Are they, in a sense, the ones who are really in charge, sending the Greys or the little ones out to do whatever they want to do? Um, I've heard of this before by Jason Giorgiani. Um, how he mentions, he believes the Nordics are really in charge. They're the ones who are manipulating timelines, but they're not doing everything themselves. What we're seeing is their robots or their creation, their artificial intelligence, doing some of the work. And sometimes you would experience the Nordics, but it's not in the same way that, you know, you hear about people having abductions and having experience with the Greys. The one that does stand out, experience where you see both of them being mentioned in the same story. Um, I can't remember the name right now, but it's the movie The Fire in the Sky. It's from an American experiencer, I think in the 70s. The name doesn't ring a bell now, but the movie's definitely Fire in the Sky, I think. And he does mention there that when he was aboard the UFO, he saw both greys um, that seemed quite weightless and just performing tasks, and then you saw blonde Nordics who seemed to be in charge and who seemed to be um, of the similar family or related to each other. So I think he did mention there were a few of them that he saw on a UFO. this tends to make sense that if there was a superior, um, call it race or alien beings, um, like the Nordics, they wouldn't really send out their own kind, other Nordic beings, to do everything that they wanted to do. Whether even if it's manipulating timelines, um, or messing with people, or um, studying human beings, retrieving, you know, whatever it may be. They're, in a sense, sending out these creatures that don't have their own agency, they don't have their own sort of thoughts and spirit and consciousness, and they're out here. That's the main alien type that we as human beings are encountering. Um, and I just found this really interesting that both Tom DeLonge and Jacques Vallée agree and have a similar sort of theory or story about what these are. Um, if you listen to Jacques Vallée, you do tend to think, like, for example, Passport to Magonia, how he's not even sure what the real structure or being is. If the alien is really just the grey, the Nordic, the devil, a spirit, something else, it seems to constantly shift and, like water in your hand, you try to capture it and it just changes form. It does seem something similar to this, but in this moment of contact clip, it does seem very clear that, these, whatever they've captured are real, physical, real, breathing oxygen.
In those and several others, new physical and environmental data was collected. The observations involve a total of 7 creatures, generally similar in size and general body shape to those described by the witnesses in Virginia, Brazil, and by Mr. Fox, providing both context and statistical support for current and future findings. In particular, all the creatures just mentioned breathed air normally.
Have been instructed by some sort of AI intelligence. He didn't really go into this, but that would be quite cool to understand. And also, I mean, in I don't know if you guys have read much of Tom DeLonge's books. I've been reading his latest one. I think it's called Time Rider, and it does go into this um, sort of a picture. He mentions out that there is an advanced. It could be, you call them a human race or an advanced race that have created alphas, betas, and gammas, and they have very specific purposes in life and whatever they need to do. But basically, the alphas, dominate, and they're bred to do certain things and think a certain way, and they send a lot of their beings or people from their race to manipulate the human timeline. And that's the story of Time Rider. One of the beings there who's a beta, who is more human like, has to travel back to I think it's 1961, 62 in America to intervene in the JFK assassination. And it's quite cool. I mean, the story is very entertaining, and it's just an interesting way to look at UFO phenomenon. That's not just a flying saucer and just technology. Like, it could be that these are somehow beings being sent for a specific purpose. The vehicle is made for a specific task, and that's it. And some of them, like in the book Time Rider, are manipulating events and timelines to preserve their own. That's kind of the key thing, is they're manipulating timeline, human timelines, to benefit or preserve their own race or their own goals and values. It's quite weird to think about it, but really interesting. And it was really cool to hear Jacques Valee talk about this. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about this video and what you think about this idea that the Greys and similar beings are powered by an advanced AI technology. And yeah, I hope you like it, and see you next time.